In our At Issue interview series today, we talk to Alexander Radwan. He is a member of the German Bundestag, a member of the CSU, the Bavarian sister party of Angela Merkel's CDU, the Christian Democrats who currently rule in Germany in a grand coalition. Alexander Radwan has a long past as not only a German and Bavarian politician, but also as a European politician. He was a member of the European Parliament for many years. He is a member of the Finance Committee and of the Foreign Relations Committee in Berlin, and he joins us here at ASCGS in Washington. Alexander Radwan, welcome to ASCGS. Let's start with your first impressions. You are here on a visit about a year after you spent some time in Washington talking to US officials. What are the main concerns that you're picking up on this side of the Atlantic regarding your own country and the wider European or even Middle East region?
The last time I was here is half a year ago, but also already half a year ago, the main topic was Greece and the Eurozone. And in every discussion we had to explain how we see the crisis in the Eurozone, how we should solve it. And this topic is not on the agenda, I wouldn't say anymore, but it's not number one. Mm-hmm. Now I have to explain the refugee crisis, how Germany is handling this. This is one point. But how much influence does this have also in Europe?
Mm-hmm. And what is your response? I mean, what are you trying to say to the American counterparts with regards to the German response to the refugee crisis? I think today, on Tuesday, we have finally surpassed the psychologically important number of 1 million registered refugees in Germany. And that basically means that by the end of the year, we will have well exceeded that number.
I think if I speak about the refugee crisis, I have to make two parts. One is the part how is Germany handling this crisis, the situation in Germany, and how is the discussion in Europe. But also we have to discuss, especially in the US, the sources of the crisis. Mm. And this is not Europe, this is the Middle East. This is Syria, this is Iraq. And as long as we don't find any solution there, the crisis won't stop. In the one side or the other side, but it won't stop.
So there is a sort of European component and German European component about how to react to the spillover effects of the crisis that is taking place somewhere else. And then there is the crisis itself. Do you think that Europe is responding to the crisis in a slightly better way than it did a few months ago? Or do you see actually that we are in a sort of stalemate situation where nobody really takes responsibility apart from Germany having been affected so deeply by this influx of refugees on how to deal with the fallout of something that is not likely to go away for some time?
If you would say now that some European countries don't react on the crisis, I would say if this would be the case, what is with the Americans? To take 10,000 Syrian refugees, this is a number which comes over a weekend to Germany, to Bavaria. Mm. So if you compare the numbers, then you could say also the rest of the world is not reacting to the crisis. The big question in Europe is how to handle it. There are several points. One is how many people do the other member states take in their country? This is a big discussion. And we are here now on Tuesday, 2 days after the election in France, where you see developments in Europe which are not very pretty. And if you have a European solution there which looks like a German, this will bring up very controversial discussions in the European Union. And my fear is that a lot of member states will have in the future more and more parliamentarians, maybe governments, which are anti-European.
When you speak about a German solution to the crisis, do you mean the sort of open door policies that the Chancellor has, at least until very recently, advocated?
It's Germany, but there are also some other countries like Austria, like Sweden, but already Sweden has said we have to close our borders. We cannot integrate more, bring in some more refugees at this stage. So there are some more countries also doing a job in this direction. But first of all, we have now, and this is also a process of learning. We have Schengen, that means free movement in Europe. The basis of Schengen is that the outside borders of Europe are really good controlled. What is not happening now? And I think that at the end, if this doesn't happen, Schengen will find an end, which no one wants in Europe. Or some countries will leave Schengen. They have to leave Schengen. Maybe a country will leave earlier Schengen than it maybe had thought about leaving the euro.
Yeah. But at the same time, once you have a development like that, the impression that Europe is turning into, first of all, many Europes, and then also a series of Europes a la carte, will be hard to dispel.
What do you understand Europe a la carte?
Europe a la carte means, some countries inside Schengen, some countries outside of Schengen, some countries in the Eurozone, some other countries outside the Eurozone.
But this is already
some
existing.
Some opt-ins, some opt-outs.
This is already
down
existing.
of,
We already have some, not all member states are a member of the Eurozone, and not all participating in Schengen. This is what we already have. What is new is that we at this stage, where I believe with the crisis in Syria, with the crisis in Ukraine, we need more Europe as an answer to these challenges. De-integration is on the agenda, so that some states get out of the Eurozone, get out of Schengen. In 1 or 2 years we have the referendum in UK, if UK will stay in Europe or not. So exactly the opposite is happening at this stage, what we normally would need it.
And how do you break this cycle? I mean, how would it be possible to actually reverse that trend, to advocate more Europe as a solution to the problem rather than a problem itself?
Europe has to prove that it can guarantee the safety of the people. Now, with this crisis, what I understand, and such a lot of refugees coming, a lot of people have questions. How will it change my country? What will come in? What are these persons, especially if they have a different religion, they don't know them? So there are serious questions which I understand. And therefore, Europe should prove that Europe give you a safe surrounding. And this has to be made. A common
external border,
a common strategy to refugees, a strategy, a common to the crisis in the Near East. So this would mean a common foreign affairs and security policy. So more Europe than less Europe.
Yes.
But at the end, the people only trust Europe if the member states stick to the rules and say, okay, this is the existing law, this is binding, this is what we are doing.
And we're not there at the moment.
There's hard work to do.
Shifting gear and looking at this side of the Atlantic, how much of an impact do you think is the current challenge, or the current challenge, or other current challenges, one should say, that Europe is trying to address, having on the transatlantic relationship? Do you think that that the US is more and more becoming a sort of passive bystander, looking at other areas of the world as sources of crisis, but something that shouldn't be addressed directly and very proactively by the US? Or do you see shifts happening based on your conversations that you had in Washington?
Also my feeling is that the last years, a lot of years, there were discussions that the US is more and more looking to Asia.
But Europe did as well.
Yeah, no, but no, in general, there was said the old world Europe, it's not so interesting, it's aging, the future is Asia. Now I have the feeling that the people recognize that something happening there, and this is not also good for America. For me, especially in this at this time where we have the feeling that democracy, free world, is under pressure, it's only Europe, and take Japan, and the US who are the blocs who share the same values, and they need it. And therefore, our democracies and the unifications in Europe is an important value and good, which has to be defended, also in the sense of America. And for example, when I speak here to anyone about de-integration and what to think about that maybe a member state will leave the European Union, they all explain to me that's nonsense. We need a strong European Union on our side and not a de-integrated European Union. And therefore, this is what I reflect, which is positive. And then there should come actions, not be involved directly in the internal policy of the member states and European Union, but, for example, the source of the refugees in the Near East, there I would wish that the Americans are more involved to find solutions.
Alexander Radwan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.